I am Miza Nadia binti and this is my presentation on perceived stress, self-compassion and suicidal ideation among students in a public university in Malaysia. Ugh, I'm so stressed. I'm so frustrated. I can't cope. I can't handle this stress. I just want to end it all. Does this sound familiar? Maybe you've heard your friends say it, your colleagues, your partners, or perhaps you've said it yourself. The World Health Organization reports suicide as a serious global public health concern, ranking it as the third leading cause of death among individuals aged 15 to 29-year-olds back in 2021. A recent study also reports an increase in suicidal ideation among university students in Asian countries, identifying them as a high-risk group for suicide attempts and suicide. Now, various factors actually contribute to the emergence of suicidal ideation, with stress being one of the key risk factors for mental health issues. It should be acknowledged that stress is experienced differently by individuals depending on their perception of events, which is known as perceived stress. Now, during stressful times, it is essential for us to practice self-compassion by allowing ourselves moments of rest and relief to support our overall well-being. Self-compassion, a positive self-attitude, is understood as responding to personal challenges and suffering with kindness and understanding. It fosters emotions like optimism and a sense of connection, enabling individuals to consider alternative solutions to personal suffering and problems, thereby reducing the risk of suicidal ideation. You might be wondering, why did I conduct this research? Interestingly, there is a geographical gap where most studies focus on international populations. Next, there is also a contextual gap, with some studies focusing on one educational background, specifically medical students. Next, there is also an inconsistency in findings, where some studies suggest that females have a higher rate of suicidal ideation, while some studies suggest that males actually have a higher prevalence of suicidal ideation. And finally, there is a lack of literature for the link between suicidal ideation and self-compassion. There are three research hypotheses involved in this study. First of all, there is a significant difference in suicidal ideation between male and female university students in UNIMAS. Next, there is a significant positive relationship between perceived stress and suicidal ideation among university students in UNIMAS. And finally, there is a significant negative relationship between self-compassion and suicidal ideation among university students in UNIMAS. Through a quantitative cross-sectional survey research design, the current study aimed to investigate the relationship of perceived stress and self-compassion with suicidal ideation among university students in UNIMAS. Interestingly, in contrast with previous studies, the study found that there is no significant difference in suicidal ideation between male and female university students at UNIMAS. This suggests that both sexes are actually equally vulnerable to mental health issues. However, confounding factors such as increased social support or a greater awareness of mental health resources could have influenced these results. It is also very important for us to take note that there are more females than males in the sample, which may limit the generalizability of the results. Moreover, in line with past research, the current study found that there is a significant moderate positive relationship between perceived stress and suicidal ideation. Why does this relationship exist? It's simple. Excessive stress can overwhelm an individual's coping abilities, leading to feelings of hopelessness and helplessness, known contributors to suicidal ideation. These findings support the transactional theory of stress, which posits that when individuals perceive their coping resources as insufficient, stress can escalate, increasing the risk of negative coping outcomes, such as suicidal ideation. The moderate relationship implies that while stress is a global risk factor for mental health issues, it may not be the primary factor in the development of suicidal ideation. Hence, it is reasonable for us to infer that other factors could play a more substantial role influencing suicidal ideation. Additionally, the current study also found a significant moderate negative relationship between self-compassion and suicidal ideation, consistent with existing literature. This implies that self-compassion does play a crucial role in managing internal thoughts and emotions, which may help prevent the emergence of suicidal ideation. Now, through the lens of the Integrated Motivational Volitional Model, or the IMV model for short, this significant negative relationship underscores the role of self-compassion as a protective motivational moderator that prevents the development of suicidal ideation and its progression into suicidal behavior. How do these findings benefit the community, particularly UNIMAS students? Firstly, it can guide the development of more peer support groups and promote mental health services across all faculties in UNIMAS. This highlights the need for accessible, appropriate, and free coping resources, especially for university students facing time, transport, or financial barriers. Notably, mental health resources should be accessible to both male and female students, as both are found to be vulnerable to mental health issues. Other than that, the findings also support the implementation of compassion-focused therapy, or CFT, or self-compassion practices like self-compassionate journaling, not only for university students, but potentially for individuals experiencing mental health issues. Now, to conclude, the findings from this study underscore the importance of addressing mental health needs of university students. By understanding the role of perceived stress and self-compassion with suicidal ideation, we can better support students through accessible resources and effective interventions. Promoting self-compassion and establishing support systems such as peer support groups and counseling services will help equip students with the tools to manage their own mental health and reduce the risk of suicidal ideation among university students. Remember, individuals may engage in suicidal behavior not simply out of a desire to die, but as a desperate attempt to escape overwhelming emotional pain. Compassion, both from within and from others, is essential in supporting mental health and can make a life-saving difference.